As I was saying, as I was contemplating on this topic in a spiritual sense, okay, I've been brought to recall the events in the garden and how God created everything. And in that narration, God created Adam. Okay. And it is from Adam that everyone actually, in so many ways, if you will follow the line of thought that the Bible is following, Adam is the origin of everything with respect to the humanity. And that's why, in addressing the issue of homosexuality, Adam is also the answer. Okay. If you recall the narrative in the Bible, God saw that Adam was lonely, and therefore he caused Adam to sleep, and then he took out a rib and created and fashioned from that another being. And since this being was taken from Adam's side, God called that being a woman. Okay, so in following that, in reality, a woman in so many ways is part of Adam, and that's why each man, actually, a man who is born and identifies and as a man or a straight man would always feel that incompleteness, that they feel that. And you can, I do not know because I'm not a man in so many ways. I've always identified myself as a woman, but only straight men are men who really identifies as a man, whose orientation is also hetero, would always sense, feel, perhaps I'm only speculating, that incompleteness in each of them. And that is the reality of their lineage, and that is traced back to Adam. Upon creating a woman, Adam basically became incomplete. And that's why heterosexual and gender, male gender, would always try to find that piece, that part of Adam, and they normally would find that in a woman, because that is how it is. And when they find this part completes them. And that's why in not necessarily yet in marriage, but in a relationship, a person who is a man who really found this part that belongs to him, belongs, remember, it was taken from the side. It wasn't clear if it was taken from his heart or it was a rib. Okay, so or perhaps there is an error in the translation of the word rib from Hebrew or from Greek. I do not know, but basically it is in the area of the chest where a woman was taken, and it means that it is in Adam's affective aspect that him this incompleteness is greatly manifested. Okay, and that's why men are, you say, very reserved. They have less emotion and so on compared to a woman. It's because when God took that part and created woman, that part of a man that was taken is that affective aspect. That's why women are very emotional. Women are very sensitive. Okay, and then men are reversed. But basically, that part was formerly Adam's, and that's why when a man finds the woman that fits that part in his, let's say, chest or heart, it makes him complete and makes him whole in so many ways. And that is basically what this um, relationship is, and it is in marriage wherein that which was taken is restored back to Adam in so many ways. And that's why a man who gets married and finds really the woman that fits that part that was taken from him becomes a whole person. And you see this in many marriages. If the right part or really is carried by the woman that they married, they become stronger. They become Adam, the Adam before God took that part. Adam version 0. Okay. And that's why to understand homosexuality, that's where all must come from, and that's why homosexuality in so many ways is a behavior that is not in alignment to that narrative in so many ways. And in order to understand that, it means that there is a distortion in Adam's children, or shall we say men, okay, that instead of longing, finding that part which was taken from them, more or less they look for or find satisfaction in the same sex, or in the same person, in the same a person with the same sex. And that's why scripture and other religious texts was very much adverse to the behavior of homosexuality, because it negates in men in every aspect that narrative that I have just shared. And but one should pause for a while and see what's happening. Why is there such a behavior to speak of? And then you go back to Adam. Okay, and as you all know, Adam is the perfect version of God's creation. A woman, if you will follow the narrative, is own her identity is derived from Adam also, because as scripture says, if we will follow the line of thought, the line of thinking of scripture, Adam is the source of a woman. That's why after that incident, when God created the woman, Adam is no longer Adam. He is Adam version 1. He is not Adam version 0. And when a couple gets together and marries the right person that fits that part of a man, that couple is no longer two, but becomes Adam version 0. And that's why a lot of couples are they're like one because they complement each other. The woman completes the man, and the man feels whole, and therefore he loves the woman because the woman is not different. She is part of him. And as I think St. Paul says this, that or I think encouraged to love your wife as yourself, because in reality, if everything that scripture speaks about is really authentic and real, then that's right. A man would love only a woman because that is he is the woman, or shall we say, the woman is part of himself. And that's why you've noticed this in men who are married to the right woman, that they cannot live without that woman because that's their part, that's their piece. And that's why when someone dies between the two, the other party in a short period of time also follows, because they can no longer live without the other. There is the dichotomy, or the division between them is eliminated, and what is created is Adam again version 0. And it is that truth that marriage brings, and it is that truth that the nature, and also as ritualized by the society in different religion. And well, in the Catholic religion also, they have rituals for marriages, but basically what is being done there is only celebrating the finding of Adam's part. And I think that that should be emphasized more, that Adam version 0 is again alive in a couple that is brought together by circumstance or by divine intervention or whatever. It is in understanding this reality, that one would now realize that homosexuality in so many ways is a derivative of this behavior in so many ways. Adam, as now version 1, because he's no longer complete, and because of the punishment, in a way there is a distortion that took place, and that's why Adam's sons, or the male gender as we all know, or the men, okay, carries his spirit, okay, carries his identity in so many ways. And this is my understanding, that each man that is born, each man that is born, meaning the man identifies himself as a man, meaning his gender expression and identity is a man. And in this context, such a person carries within himself the spirit of Adam. And that spirit of Adam is that spirit that enables or animates men to like women, to desire women, to be with women in so many ways, because Adam's version 1 is incomplete. And it is in this giving of, or not actually giving, but uniting and finding of a woman that he feels complete, even in a sexual context. Okay. If only men can confirm this, I'm only speculating. It is in when they are with women, especially if they are expressing their this behavior sexually. Uh, they feel that wholeness, that belongingness, not to the woman, but the woman to himself. And that's why men, in so many ways, has became finds it hard to be involved only with one woman, because that is there's this insatiable desire for men to find that piecing, that missing piece, and some women doesn't fit that piece, and but there's this element of it almost fits, so the man tries his or very best to make it fit, and that's why they are involved with many women. And that's the tragedy of trying to find that peace. Men is they are not promiscuous in a sense. Promiscuity is a byproduct of that desire in men to find that peace that is missing. And that's why when you look at it at that context, you would now more or less understand why men behave that way. Why do they cheat? Why do they why do they want to be with many women? Why do they desire women, not only one? It's that insatiable desire and longing to find that peace. It so happened when they're involved with this woman, it doesn't fit. So logically, you try to find again and again and again. And that's why promiscuity, or being polygamous, is in a way a byproduct of Adam's spirit in each man. And you would not blame men for such a behavior. Rather, you could only try to empathize and put yourselves in their shoe. Because women would not be able to understand this, because women doesn't feel that missing part. Women are basically reverse. They're trying to find where they belong, women is their attitude is finding the right place to be, while men try to find that peace that will make them whole, and that creates the problem. And I think when a man truly finds that fit, he doesn't look for anyone else anymore. And that is very true, because he is whole already. He is Adam version 0 again, and therefore the woman that he is with is his. That's why he would love that woman as himself, because that woman is really him, part of him. And that's why you see men who are very devoted, dedicated, and this not you don't need to guard them anymore because they are whole again, and they would not go around trying to find another piece because they found it already. And that is basically the my reflection on why uh, Adam or a man is like that, you know. And to be able to understand it, you know, and help them find, you know. That's why women should be discerning of the man. If the woman feels that this is the man to whom she belongs to, you see the language. And if the man finds that that woman is the one that belongs to him, you know, the part that was missing, that part that Adam, that was taken from Adam, then and only then can the Adam version 0 can come to be again. And you see that in many marriages, uh, it's really a very powerful moment because remember, Adam version 0 is the first and perfect creation of God. And that's why when you see this couple together, you see this mystical element in their love for each other. It's a perfection in so many ways. Now the danger lies is you must not try to convince yourself that you belong to each other. That's not the case, or you will learn to be belong to each other. The problem is that's not the case all the time, and it is in finding that fit that this reality, which is not necessary, we have to remove it from a religious context, but the natural reality is that, you know, now going back to homosexuality, how can it be related to that? In so many ways, that spirit of Adam has been distorted, either because of environment or physiological well-being of the man. For some reason or another, that spirit of Adam is distorted or is confused or sleeping, you know, in so many ways. Now, I'm saying this for men who identifies themselves as men, but their orientation is towards the same sex. And this is where the danger lies. Because you identify as a man and yet you behave differently. And that's where the problem lies, because if you identify as a man, then the spirit of Adam should be present in you, and that spirit must be alive and animating you to desire that which is taken from you, to look for it. And that's where the problem is, because if you identify as a man and yet you want or get satisfaction sexually from another man, then that is, I don't want to be very harsh, that is where Adam is abandoned, because Adam would only desire what was missing from him. And this is very true for straight men. Okay, and you can, those who could hear, would watch this narrative of mine would more or less confirm this. You know, they would not be able to have sexual attraction towards the same sex. And if ever they are placed in such a situation, there is this revolting reaction within them. Adam's spirit is revolting because it is that spirit of Adam which is the truth that does not and cannot conform to the activity that the man is engaged in, whether this is forced or voluntarily, perhaps experimenting. There is this part in that man that is disgusted by the activity, because Adam's spirit is that part of that man that is revolting against the act that is being done, disgusted because that is not his nature. And I believe that every man has this. Every man that is born as a man and identifies as a man, they have that revolting feeling. And however, for men who are identifying them or has orientation, a gay orientation or a homosexual orientation, this part of them is suppressed by the level of their desire for such things. And in so many ways, the spirit of Adam has been either suppressed or in so many ways extinguished. And that's why those men who identify themselves as men and engage in such acts are no longer Adam's offspring. They belong to a different, shall we say, community. And it is that sense or that truth when Adam is no longer in them, which this would only take place when that revolting element, when they engage in such acts, disappears. It means only Adam's spirit in them has already died. Because if Adam is present in the man, it cannot allow, or there is this strong adverse reaction to the activity. And that's why each man who identifies himself as a man who has engaged continuously in this activity, they would notice that that revolting element in them has disappeared already. And that is a sad moment because they are no longer Adams. They belong to someone else's and not Adams. But how can this be? It is perhaps an element of some sort, a deception that has been created. Or the byproduct of the, shall we say, the disobedience of Adam, you know. And it is by giving in to this desire to effect this, to engage in it, that poses a threat to Adam's spirit in each man. And once Adam's spirit is gone, the grace that Adam version 0 and version 1, the blessing that comes from it, ceases also. And this is the reality that takes place. And I don't know how real and true what I speak of, but I speak only from what I have reflected on. Now, the distinction must be made from a man who identifies as a man and engages in such acts. If such a man is listening, he would be able to validate my analysis that at the start of his journey in this path of engaging in such activities, he felt that revolting feeling when he only engage for the first time in such acts. Yes, there is this element of pleasure. Yes, there's this element of ecstasy that comes with the act. But on the first moment, or on several moments, when the man first engaged in such an activity, there is that revolting reaction within him that evokes a sense of disgust, a sense of revolt. And that is Adam's spirit in each of them. And that is the sign that Adam's spirit is in them. But as soon as that feeling disappears, it means only they are no longer Adams. They belong to someone else's and not Adam. Now, there is a man, but does not identify as a man, and that is my case, you know. I have not identified myself, at least internally. Externally, obviously, I did. But in my case, I have always identified myself as a woman within. So my natural focus or object of affection and sexual desire is obviously a man, because I am a woman, and that is the That is the normal reaction. Although my anatomy may say it differently, but I am a woman. And that's why I am a daughter of Eve and governed by the laws that governs Eve. And in that area is that my identity before the Lord and before heaven is only derived and is a derivative of Adam. And that's why I cannot come before the Father without Adam in so many ways. Because if I am already, or I have found already that Adam that I belong to, I have my identity derived and drawn from that man, from to whom I belong to. And I cannot be, I do not have any representation before the Father except through him. That is the reality that I have always experienced. My anatomy may be a man, but before all that I've experienced, I've always been a woman. And what governs me is not Adam's, but Eve's rules or laws. And that's why I had experienced that in my life, and it's only now that I'm discussing it. It is love that creates this. A man who finds that part of him loves, and by that love, in so many ways, sutures or stitches back that part that was taken from him, and he is made whole. Now the woman, now that he is part of Adam version 0, cannot move or be distinct from that part to which she belongs. And to do so is to rip her away or take her away from that part, which would be very painful for a man because it is stitched, shall we say, by the power of love. And that is how I've always been. I've always known. I've realized that not early on, but when this thing started with me. I've always been a woman, and that's why the law of a woman governs me. And that's why I was inspired not to fall in love. Back then, I didn't understand why. Because when a woman falls in love, she attaches to the man. And if the man falls in love with her, they create a bond. She is bounded to that man, and by that bond, she is governed by it. And that's why, for as long as that bond is there, a woman has no identity except through the man she loves. And in God's language, love. And that's the danger, and I realized that already too late. I was wondering why there was a injunction upon me not to fall in love, and I realized only that that's why. In so many ways I am powerless without him whom I love and who loves me. And that's why I've learned that reality the hard way. And that's why Eve was the one who was tempted. As you know, Eve is only a part of Adam. If the serpent tempted Adam, he cannot tempt Adam because Adam will see through the serpent and would not be able to do what he wanted, the serpent. But the serpent knew that the woman is only a part of Adam. And in that way, by tempting her, the serpent hurts Adam also. And Adam, because she is part of him, followed her. And that's why it happened. She led him to disobedience. And that's why the danger lies when a man whose identity and constitution and expression is a man and desires not a woman but a man, that is where the greatest danger lies, because Adam in that man is in peril. And it is for this reason that each man who identifies them as a man has a responsibility not to engage in such acts, to keep Adam's spirit alive within him. Because if he does not, it will lead to the demise of that spirit, that link that he has to Adam, rendering him no more as a son of Adam, rather a different entity. The entity, perhaps, or the community, perhaps, where the serpent belongs.